is racing. To feel numb, that's all I'm chasing. I don't know if I can take it slow. Wish I could just say no. Wish I could just say no. Will this be a race to fight? Escape the things I've done. Will this be? I've been away, hiding behind any reason that I could find. I couldn't stay locked inside, so I broke out of my own mind. I'm finally regenerated, regenerated. I'm finally regenerated. I'm home.
Are you scared?
Devil without a cause, and I'm back with the beaver hats and Ben Davis slacks. 30-pack of strolls, 30-pack of hoes. No Rogaine in the propane flows. The chosen one, I'm the living proof with the gift of gab from the city of truth. I jabbed and stabbed and knocked critics back, and I did not stutter when I said that. I'm going platinum, selling rhymes. I went platinum 7 times. And still they ill and wanna see us ride. I guess because only God knows why. Why?
I saw Clemson jumping around the football field like a bunch of wounded ducks.
American badass, watch me kick. You can roll with rock or you can suck my dick. I'm a porno flick, I'm like Amazing Grace. I'm gonna fuck some hoes after I rock
Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou. And I'm live for you on LouTube today, so thanks for watching. Really appreciate it also in 2 edition of that as well. Welcome to Uncle Lou After Dark, the college football call-in show. And it's time to talk about some of these week 2 games. Tuesday was brag or cry. So I'm not interested in hearing from you today about why your team shit the bed last week. Not interested. I'm interested in you calling in and telling me why they're not going to shit the bed this coming week. We're going to talk about this week's upcoming games. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday night at 10 p.m. Take phone calls, talk to you guys for an hour or so. Got the Lunch Money Show right here on this channel every Monday night at 10, where me and Pigskin Pete give some picks against the spread. Saturday morning at 9 a.m., College Game Day. Watch with Lou. Yeah, they're in AIMLA this week for the Iowa State game on Saturday. Yes, and Uncle Lou will be live at 9 a.m. to check out all the festivities and the goings on there on College Game Day. Tune in and check it out with me. Streaming schedule for Saturday after 9 a.m. At 12 o'clock, there's going to be a Patreon stream over on the Patreon page for all the 12 o'clock games, and there are some good ones. Oregon and Ohio State comes on at noon. What else we got at noon? Well, let's find out. South Carolina at East Carolina. South Carolina was a 2-point underdog in that game. They're now a 2-point favorite. Big swing in the line on that game. Pittsburgh at Tennessee comes on at noon. Yes, of course it does. Kennesaw State at Georgia Tech. Not sure how much Kennesaw State is favored by in that one. Tulsa at Oklahoma State. Florida at South Florida at 1 p.m. That's about it, really. So we'll be streaming during all those games over on the Patreon page at noon on Saturday. So if you're a member of the Patreon page, just check the Patreon page around 11:45 or 12. There'll be a link posted. Just click on the link. It'll take you to the live stream. If you're not a member of the Patreon, what are you doing? Click the link in the description of this video that says Patreon page. Go check it out. I will be streaming on YouTube at 3:30 in the afternoon on this channel right here for whoever wants to tune in and watch the games with me. So the games coming on in the afternoon: UAB at Georgia, Murray State at Cincinnati, Ball State at Penn State. Can they keep it going against Ball State? Probably. Buffalo at Nebraska. No easy win for Nebraska there. We'll see. Cal at TCU. Air Force at Navy. For all the military people out there. Mercer at Alabama at 4. Should be a real barn burner. Iowa at Iowa State at 4:30. South Carolina State at Clemson at 5. That's about it for the afternoon games. And then, of course, you have a lot of good games on at night, too. App State at Miami, NC State at Mississippi State. What else we got at night? Missouri at Kentucky. Could be a good one. McNeese at LSU. Can LSU get their first win? We'll see. Washington at Michigan. Utah at BYU. The Holy War? Yeah, the Holy War. I'm Team Utah, though. I have to be. Stanford at Southern Cal comes on 10:30 on Fox. That's a late game to be coming on Fox. But it is. Nevertheless, UNLV at Arizona State. So that's a rundown of some of the games coming up on Saturday. So again, I'll be streaming on the Patreon page during all the noon games and right here on YouTube for the 3:30 games, which includes the Georgia and UAB game. That's the schedule. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Go ahead and hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. It doesn't take you any time. It's free, and it's a huge help to a live show. So please hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. The phone number, if you want to be a part of the show tonight, is 706-786-4481. 706-786-4481. Yeah, give me a call. Looks like there's 4 people on hold already, so we'll get to the phones here pretty quick in just 1 second. But I do appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Justin Hardy, D4 Sports, Go Bucks, LW, Jabari Jones, Pizza Woman, Rhino26 in the house. Baylor Man is here. Lucas Sharp, ATL Knoll, Easy Money, Kentucky, No Sucky. Good morning as well. Pigskin Pete is here. Bulldog JC, Battle Angel, Roger Chambers, Johnny Bolton, Noel Squad, Matt K, Bread Pit, James Cato, Nick, Matt Dummett, Mark Anderson, Dom, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, Bow Hunting Man is here. Jerome Pruitt, Jeff Webster, Brucus, Lonnie Allval, Huffer Billy Paw, Brandon Swan. The Bureaucrat is here. Wow. Yeah. Nikki G. Gator Dude. What's up, dude? His dudeness, the Duderino. Mr. Lebowski. Thank you. Good to see you in that. Heinz Hummer, Matt K. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to get to the phone lines. The number again, 706-786-4481 if you want to be a part of the show. Super chat located directly below the comment section for your convenience. If you're looking for a good way to support the show, the channel, or what I'm trying to do here on YouTube, the super chat's a good way to do it. You can include a comment with your super chat, and I will be happy to read it. You can troll me. You can call me fat, whatever you want. Super chat's a great way to do it. There's also a PayPal link for those of you that have PayPal and don't mind doing it that way. YouTube steals 50%. That's right, 50% of your super chat, but they do not steal any of the PayPal. So I'll post a PayPal link in the comment section too. You can attach a note to that as well, which I will also be happy to read. Dylan Deloney, thank you for hitting the super chat at the start of the show. He says, Pitt 24, Tennessee 20. That's my pick. Well, that would make a lot of people happy if they bet on Pitt because Pitt's a 3-point favorite, and that's a 4-point win. Miss Workmeister, thank you for the super chat. My wife said she likes the Applebee's commercial. Is this grounds for divorce? I don't think liking the commercial is grounds for divorce. If she liked eating at Applebee's, that would be grounds for divorce, in my opinion. But there's lots of commercials that I've liked over the years that I don't necessarily like the product. It's just a funny commercial or whatever, something about the commercial that I like. So I say we give your wife a pass on liking the Applebee's commercial as long as she promises to never eat there, ever. Under any circumstances, period. Yeah, I think that's what you should do. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou, this is Eli. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm a new Patreon.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate you calling in.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, I'm kind of down. Maybe you can get me up, man. I'm just been, forever UGA fan, and man, a couple things. I'm wondering, man, have we got some kind of curse that we just don't know about? Because it just seems like year in and year out. Again, teams have injuries, but I just got to say it. Damn. I mean, it's just, we'll get through it. We'll get our guys back, but
yeah,
it just seems like every year, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
and we'll come back. I get it.
Yeah, everybody has injuries, like you said,
but
it does seem like this year in particular, there's a bunch of them, and of course, that many injuries at one position is a problem, the wide receiver position. But
and that's the craziest. Yeah, for as long as I've been watching. Yeah, just like at that one position. The other thing, touching on the Clemson UGA game. Something I find interesting, and again, maybe it's a bias of mine. But people questioning our offense, and you said some of your videos earlier in the week, like, oh, Georgia, their offense is terrible. They're not gonna. It's like you said, we probably went up. If Clemson's D is for real, which it is, that's maybe the second best defense behind ours. And we played extremely conservative. We're down weapons, but for people to just doubt UJ's offense for the rest of the year. It's like, man.
They're football ignorant. That's all. They just don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's that simple. They're just football ignorant. Yeah, that's all that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing, I'm not sold on Clemson, man. I know you are. You don't think they're going to lose the game for the year.
So you're not impressed with that win, is what you're telling me. Well, you're going to have to explain to me.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, I don't see how both those things can be true. So go ahead and explain it to me. If you
you're right.
If you're not sold on Clemson, then why are you impressed with that win?
Okay. Maybe I said that wrong, and that's my bad. I'm not sold that they'll maybe not lose at least one other game because, you know, and again, somebody can creep up on UGA. You know, we don't have, you know, clear sailing all the way. You know, Florida's always tough. We got to play at Jordan Hare. I'm just saying, Pitt at times they can be giant killers. You know, I think that's going to be a tough game for them. Florida State's on their schedule. Are they for real? We don't know. But again, I'm just saying, you know, I think that was an extremely impressive win. I believe their defense.
Yeah, well,
is
I mean, I
one,
guess
2, or 3 in the country.
I mean, the thing is,
mm-hmm.
I mean, if you had to bet $1 right now on Clemson and Pitt, who would you put it on?
Oh, I'm putting it on Clemson. I mean, yeah.
What about Clemson and Florida State?
You know, and you know what? Again, that's going back to, you know, something you talked about earlier in the week. You know, one of your videos is, and again, I'm tempted to say Notre Dame has been overrated for how long? You know, are they really, you know, not as good as they are, or has Florida State really made the changes they need to make?
Right.
Because they should have won that game. They didn't. It's a W for Notre Dame. But it's interesting. I mean, I'm really interested to watch Florida State see what they do.
Yeah.
You know, over the next coming games, and I think we'll know more about it. That, you know, as Florida, if they just fall off the edge of the cliff, then hey, that's Florida State.
Right.
You know, but I think Mackenzie Milton, you know, I'm glad to see him back because I watched that game when he got hurt, and I've never seen anything like that. And why he ended up, like you said, dude lost his helmet in the game. I was like, okay, let's put McKenzie in. He never came out, you know, and he muffed that snap there that screwed it up for him. But again, you know, is Notre Dame that bad, or Florida State in their first year with a new head coach that good?
Well, Notre Dame only plays good teams. If you don't believe me, ask any Notre Dame fan; they'll tell you they only schedule good teams. And so they're playing Toledo this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll find out a lot more this weekend about Notre Dame when they take on the powerhouse known as Toledo. But hey, thank you for the call and thank you for support over on the Patreon page. I really appreciate that. Good morning, what's wrong with Uncle Lulo?
Hey, Nate, great.
What's up, Nate?
Not much, man. Just want to talk some week 2 college football games with you.
Go ahead.
I think Oregon will not win against Ohio State. I think Ohio State will find a way to snake past them. I think Oregon can give them a little competition, but I think Ohio State can slip away with the win. What other ones? There's Tennessee and Pitt. I think I agree with you, Lou. I think Tennessee could beat Pitt if Milton somehow in some way does good. I doubt it's going to happen, but he's hot doo-doo confirmed. But I have Tennessee win that one. And my final one is Michigan and Washington. Now, I want Michigan to win, I know, but Washington won't. They might score like 7 points. And Michigan will probably score 28.
28-7, Michigan over Washington. All right, we got you down, Nate. Thanks for calling in. Those seem like good picks to me. I agree with you on Ohio State and Michigan for sure. My head, everything in my head tells me Pitt's going to run away from Tennessee, but I want Tennessee to do well for BVD. So I'm kind of torn on that one. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Yo, what's going on, Uncle Lou?
What's up, buddy?
So before we get to the games, I want to get your opinion on something. Okay, so Clemson, number 6 in the AP poll. Obviously, without a doubt, the best one-loss team in college football. You know, it's not rocket science. But what I'm wondering is who is the second best one-loss team right now in college football?
The
teams we have to choose.
Could be Washington, could be North Carolina, could be LSU, could be Miami,
Wisconsin,
could be Wisconsin. Miami. Yeah, no way to know.
I'll tell you what, although the talent's not there, Tulane looks, obviously, played higher than their level, last weekend. They don't have guys to compete, on a consistent basis, but I thought they looked really good.
Yeah,
last weekend. Or Oklahoma just looks really bad. It's just a mixture of both, kind of.
Right.
But this weekend is huge for the Pac-12. If there's two teams that can somehow be undefeated at the end of the season, wouldn't that be probably one of the biggest Pac-12 versus Pac-12 games, of the last decade?
What, USC and UCLA?
Yeah, USC, UCLA, because Oregon's not going undefeated. They're losing this weekend.
Well, yeah, and plus Southern Cal doesn't play Oregon in the regular season, or Washington for that matter.
Yeah.
But they do play UCLA the last game of the year. Yeah, I mentioned that in the video earlier. If Southern Cal and UCLA are both 11-0, or even if one of them's 10-1 or 9-2, that's going to be the biggest Southern Cal UCLA game in a long time. But that's a long way down the road. I mean, we'll see. I'm high on both those teams right now, Southern Cal and UCLA. I picked Southern Cal to win the Pac-12 this year. Obviously, UCLA looks really good right now too, and Oregon and Washington look not so good, in my opinion. So we'll see how it pans out.
What really surprised me is just the physicality or lack thereof from LSU last weekend.
Yeah, that game wasn't a fluke. If they played again tomorrow, UCLA would beat them again. UCLA pushed them around on the line of scrimmage. LSU couldn't run the ball. LSU could not run the ball against UCLA. I think they ran for 45 yards in that game. I mean, that's pitiful against any Pac-12 team, really, but specifically UCLA. And Chip Kelly teams are known for being soft. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean small, fast, quick, but soft. And UCLA pushed them around.
That's the reason. I think that's why UCLA is going to have a lot of successes here in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to Chip Kelly's days at Oregon, he ran through the Pac-12 like it wasn't there, and then as soon as he played a top 10 team in a bowl game or a playoff, he lost, especially if it was an SEC team. He lost to LSU one year, he lost to Auburn one year, and the reason why, lines of scrimmage. Chip Kelly had the smallest offensive line in the Power 5 when he was at Oregon because he was trying to run 100 plays a game, and he needed offensive linemen who could get up off the ground quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that worked for a while until you ran into a real defensive or offensive line, and there wasn't nothing Oregon could do. Chip Kelly's learned his lesson. He's got some bigger boys along the front now. And listen, I said it after they beat Hawaii. And everybody, I think, kind of agrees now. But UCLA looks like a really good team. They might be the best rushing football team in football, in the Power 5. They might be the best running team in the Power 5.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like some of these people that are commenting on the LSU, UCLA, were not, probably, didn't even watch the game, honestly. And they were just talking a bunch of trash about, you could just say that LSU is just that bad, but I don't think, LSU, they were, they could turn out to be a dumpster fire because of their record. Honestly, I've got them going 6-6, but I don't think they're as much of a complete dumpster fire. I just think UCLA is just pretty good. And
if LSU goes 6-6, that'd be a 500 record 2 years in a row, and they would have to start asking some really, really tough questions about Ed Orgeron. Thank you for the call, sir. It was good to hear from you. Rhino 26 with a huge boom over on the PayPal. Rhino, I'm running out of ways to thank you, sir, but I really do appreciate that. You're very, very generous. Very generous. Thank you for hitting the PayPal link, Rhino. I really do appreciate it. I mean that. Hugh Freeze's burner phone with a super chat says Emory Jones is Stetson Bennett with dreadlocks. Oh no. Oh no. Now Stetson Bennett's never been caught on campus running around barefooted with a hairnet on, chasing a bookie with a frying pan, though. That's the difference. Emily Jones has. Emily Jones did get caught on campus running around barefooted with a hairnet on, chasing a bookie with a frying pan. Stetson Bennett did not. Chance-tastic, thank you for the super chat. He says, Uncle Lou, I love you, man. Thanks for everything you do. You're an inspiration to every college football fan. Well, I appreciate the kind words, sir, but I'm just a fan, same as anybody else. I just maybe I'm a little louder and more obnoxious than most, but I'm just a fan like everybody else is here. But I definitely appreciate the super chat and the kind words, sir. So thank you. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, as a UF guy, I gotta say, man, it feels good not to be toting it around the L week one like some folks over at Free Shoes University right now. So I'd be pretty happy about that.
Yes.
So I checked the line for Texas at Arkansas earlier today, and it's at -7 for Texas. I gotta say, you gotta like that line a lot. I feel like Texas is pretty easily 2 possessions better than Arkansas.
Yeah, you gotta like -6.5 even better, which is what it was on Monday when I bet the game. I have Texas -6.5. I'm very confident. Yeah, I feel good on that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I still might put some money down on that because I feel like Texas is easily 10 to 14 points better than Arkansas right now.
I agree.
Don't get me wrong. What Sam Pittman did last year was pretty good for a program that hadn't won an SEC game in 2 years. But
man,
still, they're not a great
team.
football team.
It's still right. Exactly. They're still a 3-win team. They were still losing to Rice at halftime last weekend before winning the game. I mean, look, this comment section is filled with people who told me Texas was starting 0-2 this year. Didn't they come out and blow out Louisiana? I expect a similar result against Arkansas, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be a very competitive game.
Yeah, and I think Ohio State's going to cover the spread against Oregon as well. I don't know what it is about Oregon, but like every year you buy into the hype that this year's going to be different. They're going to be a different team. That all those turnovers last year that cost them all these games isn't going to happen, and they find a way to lose games somehow every year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you think Carson Beck is going to start next week over versus UAB?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know JT Daniels didn't practice Monday, but they said he practiced Tuesday and Wednesday, and I haven't heard about today. So I really don't know. Maybe they play JT Daniels a little bit to start and then put Carson Beck in. I really don't know. I would like to see Carson Beck play. I'd like to see anybody play, some backup play, and actually run the offense. None of our backups have any experience outside of Stetson Bennett. So it wouldn't hurt my feelings if Carson Beck got a little bit of experience this season. Now, I didn't want that experience to come because JT Daniels was injured. I'd rather that experience come because we're beating UAB 40-0 at halftime and they put Carson Beck in the second half. But, I think we could win the game with Carson Beck playing the entire game. I mean, I don't think UAB is going to be able to keep up with us in the long run. Even if we're not able to throw it for whatever reason, we can lean on UAB for 3 quarters and then beat them in the fourth quarter running the ball. So we'll see. I have no idea if JT Daniels is going to start, play the whole game, play half the game. I really don't have any idea. Trying to get injury information out of Kirby Smart is an exercise in futility.
Well, and getting him to get the backup QB to do anything other than hand the ball off 40 times is an exercise in frustration.
An exercise in frustration. Yes, it's been the cause of many an Uncle Lou panic attack. Yes.
So you think he's not going to trot out 5'3" Stetson Bennett out there? You don't think that's going to happen?
I'm going to tell you something right now. If anybody listening to this is watching the Georgia game on Saturday and Stetson Bennett goes out on that field, you better tune into LouTube immediately.
Oh, that's the first thing I'll do. Trust me,
because it will be a show. I'm live streaming that game on YouTube, so if you see Stetson Bennett try it out on that field, you better click UNCLELOU as fast as you can because I'm liable to rearrange this room.
Another TV goes to the graveyard, huh?
It's possible. UNCLELOU's TV repair service could be back in business this Saturday if Stetson Bennett trots his happy ass out there.
All right, sounds like a plan. Have a good one, UNCLELOU. I got to catch the rest of this Bucs game.
Thanks for the call. Stetson Bennett, look, you know what Stetson Bennett should be or should be this year? The seat that you sit on in the airplane. That's what Stetson Bennett should be. You know what that seat is, don't you? That you sit on in the airplane? In the event of a water landing, your seat can be used as a flotation device. Well, if Georgia crash and burn, Stetson Bennett is for emergency use only, okay? Emergency use only. Yeah, let's try to keep that in mind. Kirby, if you're listening. I'm pretty sure that you are. Yeah. A couple more PayPals here, and we'll get right back to the phones. Jason C. says, yeah, good morning and go Dogs. Yeah, Jason C. Yeah, good morning. I second the notion. Go Dogs and that. Yeah, that sounded good. I like that. Man, I said go Dogs and good morning in the same that might be the greatest comment of all time. Good morning and go Dogs. I don't know how that can ever, I don't know how there's any comment can never be better than that. Good morning, go Dogs. That's all you ever need to say. Workmeister, thank you. Hitting the PayPal. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the show tonight, sir. I hope you are doing well. And go easy on your wife with the Applebee's thing. Let the commercial thing slide. Like I said, as long as she's not eating there, you're pretty much good to go. Landon Gosnell, thank you for the super chat. If Emory doesn't improve from last week, does Mullen have a decision to make for the Bama game and start Richardson? No. The first start cannot be against Bama. No. That'll ruin that man forever. In my opinion, and Dan Mullen says Emory Jones is starting this week. If that's true, you have to start him the next week against Bama. You can't give Anthony Richardson the first start ever of his career against this year's Alabama defense. That's suicide. That's suicide in my opinion. Yeah, that's suicide. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. It's Rhino26.
Rhino, hey, what's up, buddy?
How are you, sir?
Shoot, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I don't have the intellectual capacity as the other callers or yourself as far as college football, but I can tell you that I think OU is going to look better this weekend. At least I hope so. If not, I'll at least hope the Dogs do a little bit better. Of course, they won, but I'd like to see a little bit more offense. Unfortunately, I'd hate to add Big 12 into the SEC, with these high-scoring games, but I would love to see if JT Daniels plays a little bit more offense.
Yeah, me too. Me too, because as happy as I am with that Clemson win, and as much as I understand why we implemented the game plan that we did, that can't be the permanent game plan. It can't.
Right.
That worked for what we needed it to do in one particular week against one particular team. And it would work against UAB and South Carolina and Vandy and Kentucky and Mizzou and the majority of the other teams on our schedule. But we just know from past experience it's not going to work at some point when you need it against a really good team. So I'd rather just run the grown-up offense all year long. Like I said, I'm letting it slide on last week because I get the injuries and so it is what it is with that. But I'm ready to see JT sling the ball around like he did the last 4 games of last year.
I agree, but it was also good to see some defense, some actual defense being played. That's something that's missing, I think, within the college football world these days. It's more about offense, not about defense. Obviously, Big 12 has none of the defense, and I think it's more of a discipline factor that we lack these days. So I do appreciate watching some good defense. I know a lot of people don't like seeing low-scoring games, but this is it's a different era. Slinging the ball around.
Yeah.
OU doesn't. They're short running backs, and so of course Riley's going to be a little bit more conservative, and that's one thing that has really kind of irked me in the last few years. Is he scores a ton of points in the first half, and in the second half he lets off the gas, and there's no defense.
No,
so it's good to see go ahead.
What I'm about to say doesn't necessarily apply to Oklahoma, because Oklahoma's just had some bad fundamentals that keep biting them. Inability to tackle people in space, things like that. But in general, though, defense tends to drag behind offense in college football. For example, if you go back to the early to mid '80s, when teams started first running the triple option, defenses couldn't stop it. Nebraska was winning national titles. I mean, eventually the defenses had to get a lot faster to stop the triple option because the offenses were winning. And I think what you have right now with some of these spread concepts and RPOs and things like that, I think you have a similar situation. I think defenses have yet to really evolve to learn how to slow down those types of offenses. When you get a team like Oklahoma or Alabama, and as hard of a time as I gave Tua about injuries and stuff like that, you could not stop that RPO that Tua ran, the slant to Jerry Jeudy. If he threw it 100 times, Jerry Jeudy was going to catch it 99. They ran it perfect. And there's just not a defense right now that can stop that. It hasn't evolved yet. Defenses haven't to a point to be able to stop that. That combined with a lot of the rule changes that have been put in place over the last 10 years with targeting, rules to protect the quarterback, those two rules in particular have made it much easier for offenses to pass the ball. Then you add to that the RPO and these spreads that are kind of new. And I just think defenses are lagging behind in general right now, and that's why you're seeing a lot more points scored. So to your point, I think we'll get back to a time at some point down the road where defenses sort of figure that out and we start to see less points scored per game than we see now.
I agree with that statement. Yes. I think Nick Saban, he's built an empire and everybody's like, oh, hail Nick Saban. But I think he's realized that a lot, I don't want to say quicker, sooner than a lot of other teams, but he's built that discipline within his team to realize that.
Right.
So I think that's going to continue until they do catch up to that. So I'm not going to keep you on. I know you got some other calls. I just wanted to chime in and give you my opinion on it.
Yeah, I'm glad you called in. It was good to hear from you. I appreciate you taking the time. So I hope to hear from you again soon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right. See you.
All right. Bye. Later. Rhino, my man, Rhino 26, Oklahoma fan, about to be a proud member of the SEC. He's been working on his SEC chant too. Don't let him fool you. He's been working on his SEC chant. Dylan, thank you for the super chat. He says, who's worse, Vandy or Tech? Well, I got good news, Dylan. We'll find out in February, because every February, right here on this show, we do the worst of the worst college football playoffs. We take the 4 worst Power 5 teams from the previous season, and we put them in a playoff, and we simulate it using NCAA 14 with updated rosters. So we'll find out, Dylan, in February. But those are definitely 2 candidates right now to make the worst of the worst playoffs right here on LouTube this February and every February. 2 really good candidates. Michael Cummings, thank you for the super chat. What was the USC junior pick? Yeah, I accidentally left that out. I'm actually picking South Carolina. I liked South Carolina a lot better when they were an underdog. I would have loved, I wish I would have bet that game earlier in the week. South Carolina was a 2-point underdog. Now they're a 2-point favorite. I actually think South Carolina will win the game. I don't think East Carolina is very good. They haven't made a bowl game since 2015. They're not a very good team. Got to play in Columbia. No, this one's in East Carolina. I think South Carolina can control the line of scrimmage in this game and run the ball enough to win by 7 to 10 points at least. So I feel pretty good about taking the Gamecocks in that game. I hate South Carolina, and it would be absolutely hilarious if they lost. It's kind of like the Tennessee-Pitt game. It would be absolutely hilarious if Tennessee lost, but I'm going with Tennessee in that game, mostly for my boy BVD. And I just have a feeling South Carolina is going to beat East Carolina, although I agree it would be hilarious, absolutely hilarious, if they somehow figured out a way to lose. And no one will be surprised either, least of all me. I expect South Carolina to lose pretty much every time they take the field, and they usually don't let me down. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great.
Got a couple questions. The first one is I'm trying to figure out if I should go with the Michigan, Washington over-under or the Ohio State, Oregon over-under. The Ohio State one is 63.5, and the Michigan one is 48.5.
If I was you, I'd call Pete and ask about that because I don't really do over-unders. Pete bets a lot of over-unders. I don't. I am betting Ohio State. Just I'm betting the spread on Ohio State because I bet Ohio State every week, and I think Michigan will win big too. But I'm not the one to ask about the over-unders, to be honest. I don't ever bet over-unders.
Okay, so would you go straight up, or are you taking the points on both those games this weekend?
Well, I'm picking the favorite and taking the points. It doesn't make any sense to pick the favorite straight up. You don't make any money.
Okay. I was just wondering because I didn't know how some people, if they did it straight up or if they did points. I was just wondering. Then, all right, then thanks so much, Uncle Lou. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. It was good to hear from you. No, I bet on I use BetNow, betnow.eu. So I mean, Ohio State's a 14-point favorite. If you bet Ohio State straight up, if you bet $100 on Ohio State straight up and they win, you're only going to win like $10 or $15 at the most. If you bet them with the points and they cover, you're going to double your money. I mean, that's you always bet the points. The only time you bet straight up is if you pick the underdog and bet the money line, because then you can double or triple your money. But you got to bet the underdog to win straight up, not the favorite. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, good morning, that Uncle Lou.
Yeah, good morning in that, though.
This is Dr. Ball.
What's up, buddy?
I'm a big Tennessee fan, and big Tennessee fan. Have been since the mid-'90s and everything. Got a big test coming in Saturday, and not too confident about it, to be honest with you. But to be honest with you, I wasn't too confident last week, until I see got a lot of unprovens up there on the field. I did hear that Tyon Evans, the running back, expect him to be out. Looks like a COVID issue. And looks like Byron Young is going to be out. And everything I've heard in the offseason, he's supposed to be our best edge rusher. So I don't feel too great about it, but we'll see what the boys do. They're looking a lot like they're having more fun out there on the field than they did under Jeremy. And look like they're playing together as a team more. So we'll see. Of course, it's all going to depend on what the passing game does, I believe. If they can get that sheared up and hit some of those deep throws that Milton missed, and we might have a shot.
Yeah, and the offensive line is going to have to give him some time because Pitt's got a really good defensive front. So I think that's going to be one of the keys to the game. Does Milton have time to stand back there and throw the ball? And, whether your team wins by 7 or 70, most fans, when they watch the game, there's things they wish their team did better. And believe me, I completely understand that because I've been doing that with Georgia for years. However, I think Tennessee beating anybody, whatever the score was, 38 to whatever it was, is a big improvement over what they've been doing years before. I mean, you lost to BYU when they weren't very good. You lost to Georgia State. I mean, so I understand wanting the quarterback to play better, and I'm not a big Milton fan either, but considering where Tennessee has been, I thought that was about the best you could hope for from them in week 1 against Bowling Green.
Right. I wasn't super disappointed about it. We got the win. We won by 32 points. Come out there and ran the ball very well, played defense very well. I liked the way our defense was communicating. Seemed like there wasn't a lot of breakdown of coverages. I liked the way we made adjustments at halftime to stop some of those rub routes and the wheel routes that you've seen Bowling Green going to, that they were, how they got them 2 field goals right there in the second quarter. And we came out and made some adjustments. So that was good to see.
Mm-hmm.
But the big game I'm looking at this weekend, other than my balls, is Kentucky and Mizzou.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, but I think that game right there is going to, put some lay to the land right there in the East. For me, I have not been a big believer. I've not bought into the Mizzou hype. I haven't had them coming in at third in the East. I believe Kentucky comes out there and gets that win. I'm not sure what the line is for that game.
Kentucky's favored by 5.5.
Okay, is that at Kentucky?
It's at Mizzou.
They're going to play at Kentucky. At Mizzou.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mizzou didn't look good week 1.
Who do you have winning?
I'm one of the people that you don't agree with. I've been banging the Mizzou drum all off season, and they didn't look good in week 1. They won, but they didn't look good doing it. So since I've been banging that drum so hard, all by myself, all off season, I'm going to stay on the Missouri train for one more week and see what they can do against Kentucky, because I picked Mizzou to finish second in the East, and they did not look good week 1 of
right.
But I'm going to stay with them one more week before I jump overboard.
Yeah. I got you. Well, recruiting plays a big part, I think, in this whole thing. And as far I know, Kentucky has recruited better than Mizzou.
Yeah. I
believe over the last 3 or 4 years. I just think they got more talent over there, and that quarterback really looks pretty sharp. Man, he does.
Yeah, he looked good in week 1. We'll see. Sean Clifford at Penn State's not the greatest quarterback on earth, but he's better than Will Levis, and so that's why Will Levis is at Kentucky. And he did look good last week, so you have to give him credit. We'll see. Right. We'll see if he can do that against Missouri, and then later on down the road against teams like Florida and Georgia and South Carolina and Tennessee and so on and so on. But he did look good week 1, especially when you look at where Kentucky's been the last couple of years in terms of a passing game, which, it was non-existent the last couple of years. So it looked a lot better than anything they've had the last couple of years, that's for sure.
All right. That's about all I got for you, Lou. Appreciate
all right, buddy. Yeah, thank you for the call. Good to hear from you. Thanks for taking the time to call in. Good people. Let's see, who's next? There you go. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. So I got a couple things that I want to say real quick, and then I got a couple questions for you. First off, I'm a long-time watcher, long-time subscriber. I really don't watch a lot of the live stuff, but usually that's because my work schedule doesn't allow me to.
Right.
I just want to say, just keep doing what you're doing, and I love your content. I'll be honest with you, I don't really get my recommended daily intake of Uncle Lou, but I usually a few times a week. So,
yeah. Well, like I say, it's recommended, but it's not mandatory. So I appreciate you tuning in when you can. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly when I can, especially whenever you're making videos on Saturdays. Whenever your season is over, comes out, always watch those videos. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm a huge Tennessee fan myself. I know that you troll Tennessee all the time, but I just want to say, first off, I just want to say specifically to you, congratulations to your Bulldogs beating Clemson this past weekend. I'm always an SEC homer, so I just want to see any SEC team beat whatever other team they're playing, unless it's my, Tennessee. So,
right.
Really, I just wanted to ask you, I know you talked a little bit about Tennessee earlier, but do you honestly really think that we have a chance to beat Pitt this week? I from what I've seen, it just doesn't seem to me like we're doing
they're
the
only
things
a 3-point
that we need to do to beat them.
Anytime a betting line is 3 or 4 points or less, any outcome is possible and likely.
Right.
It's not like they're favored by 17. Everything in me tells me that Pitt's going to win this game. I don't know why I decided to go with
That's how I felt.
I've been picking Pitt all off season in my season prediction videos and all like that. But today when I was doing the video, literally at the last minute, I said, you know what? Forget it. In honor of BBD, give me Tennessee +3. So, I'm hoping that Tennessee can either find a way to win or lose by 1 or 2 because I'm taking Tennessee +3.
Right.
But it's not a there's no logical reason that I can explain to someone why I'm doing that, because there is no logical reason.
Right.
I think Pitt's a better team. I think they've got a better. I think they're better up front. I think their defensive line is going to be a problem. I don't think Tennessee is going to be able to run the ball nearly as good this week as they did last week. So I think Milton's going to have to play a lot better if Tennessee is going to win, and we'll see if he does.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are looking at, I think a lot of people's baseline is against Bowling Green, and you just can't compare a team like Bowling Green to Pitt. You can't really compare a team like Bowling Green to most Power 5 schools.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just really don't. I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have to see a lot of improvements in Tennessee's, passing game, especially. The running game, I think, is a bit better off, but the passing game has got to improve. Especially Milton's got to stop overthrowing receivers downfield. It can't be like that. And the other question I had for you, though. Yeah, he didn't at all. I mean, the running game is all right, but I mean, you're playing Bowling Green. I don't know. I wasn't entirely impressed. But the other question I had for you was, do you think that Heupel has what it takes to take Tennessee in the right direction?
The only thing I have to go off of with Heupel, head coaching experience, is what he did at Central Florida. And he made them worse he made them worse every single year he was there.
Yeah, especially worse than Scott Frost.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. When he got there, they were a 12-win-a-year team. It's hard to improve that.
Right.
It's hard to improve that. It's much easier to it's much easier to go the other direction when you're starting off at 12 wins a year. So that doesn't mean he's a terrible coach. Now he's in an opposite situation now at Tennessee. Tennessee is winning 4, 5, 6 games a year. So the criteria is going to be, okay, can he make a bowl game? Okay, and then can he win 8 games? Okay, can he win 8 games for 2 years in a row, or 9, or whatever the case? And then by year 4 or 5, has he recruited well enough to compete for the East? That's how I think he'll be judged. It's easier to improve a 4-win team than it is a 10, 11, or 12-win team.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, recruiting is going to definitely be a big thing for him. I think there for a little while. I think Butch Jones did a well enough job at recruiting there for a little while, but still he couldn't take this team to what it needed to be. Pruitt, just completely forget the Pruitt era, and. Yeah, they've got to recruit better, especially whenever you're in the SEC, you're in this recruiting territory. There's so many recruits around you, and you're just letting them go to every other school that's around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Tennessee's fighting an uphill battle in recruiting right now because there's not a ton of elite high school athletes coming out of the state of Tennessee. So step one is you got to, whatever ones there are, you got to lock those up. But the problem is with going out of state, Tennessee used to come into Georgia a lot and get a lot of really good Georgia players. And not that they can't do that anymore, but when they were doing that before, Georgia was an 8-win team. Georgia's one of the top 5 programs in all of college football right now. So it's a lot harder to steal out of the state of Georgia right now for Tennessee when they're a 5-win team and Georgia's winning 12 a year than it was when Tennessee was winning 12 a year and Georgia was winning 5. And the other thing is there's not a high school recruit alive that's ever seen Tennessee be any good. And that matters.
Yeah, that's very true. I hate to admit that.
That matters.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing there is you have to build a reputation that says that you're going to be better than these teams at some point that are dominating the SEC.
Yeah, that's why I think it needs to be incremental for Tennessee, because I can't imagine Tennessee putting together a roster in 1 year that's capable of winning 12 games. But a good coach should be able to put a roster together in 1 year that can win 6 games, and then in year 2 can win 7 or 8, and then in year 3 can win 8 or 9, and then in year 4 try to get to double digits or compete for the East in year 4 or 5. I think there is a coach somewhere that can do that, and if that's Heupel or not, I don't know. Part of the problem there, though, is that the entire fan base, whenever they say one negative thing in a coach, they're just completely against them. Right. That's true too. The fans have been a big part of the problem of what's going on in Tennessee, in my opinion. The whole Greg Schiano thing, that wasn't a good look. That wasn't a good look.
No.
I mean, you know, because then you got the next coach going, well, do I really want to show any interest in this Tennessee job? What if the fans don't like me and they start berating me on Twitter, and then I get embarrassed like Greg Schiano did? So you know, I don't know, but we'll find out this weekend. You know, about where Tennessee is at. If Tennessee can't beat Pitt, then in my opinion, they're not making a bowl game, because I don't think there's 5 more teams on the. If they're not good enough to beat Pitt, I don't think there's 5 teams left on the schedule that they can beat. So we'll see. But hey, thank you for the call, and good luck to your Vols this weekend against the Pitt Panthers. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. Hey, my name is Will.
What's up, Will?
Hey, I live in Tennessee, but I've been a Georgia fan my entire life. But none of my questions have to do with this terrible state and our great football team. So you mentioned in one of your videos that you don't really believe in the Auburn coaching staff. Why is that?
I didn't see them do anything at Boise State that impressed me. I mean, Boise State was at a certain level when they got there, and they never got any better. And to me, Auburn is probably the hardest coaching job to have right now in the SEC, because nothing is good enough. And then right next door, you've got your biggest rival since the dawn of time is winning a national title every other year. And Auburn man looks up at that and says, "Why not us?" And I get that, but I mean, look at Gus Malzahn. Now I clowned Gus Malzahn a lot, but he beat Nick Saban more than any other coach on earth ever. Got to an SEC title game in 2017, had multiple 9 and 10 win seasons, multiple top 10, top 15 finishes, and it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. Yeah. And I don't know what for this guy from Boise State. I mean, he's really jumping in the deep end. I mean, I know Boise State is a powerful team in the group of 5. This is a different animal altogether that he's dealing with now in the SEC West, and so we'll see how it goes. But I don't expect it to go well, honestly.
Along the lines of beating Auburn or beating Alabama, I don't think Georgia's ever has beat Alabama since Nick Saban took over.
Oh, that's fake news.
The Tide.
That's fake news.
Do you think Georgia's got it this year?
Well, and we've beaten Nick Saban already when he was at Bama, is what I'm saying. But I'm just correcting the record here.
No, you're good. I wasn't completely sure, but do you think we have it this year?
We've each played one game. I mean, it's hard to say right now. I think Georgia's clearly the best team in the East, and Bama's clearly the best team in the West. It's hard to predict a game that might be played 3 months from now. I think Georgia's got a good chance against anybody, because Georgia's a really, really good team. So is Alabama, so is Clemson, so is Ohio State, so is Oklahoma, and probably 2 or 3 other teams that we'll figure out over the course of a year. But that game's a long way away, if it even happens.
Yep.
I mean, we might have George Pickens back by then.
All
right, yeah, thank you. You too. I mean, if we have Karis Jackson, Dominic Blaylock, Darnell Washington, Eric Gilbert, and George Pickens, yeah, I think we can go toe-to-toe with Bama, just like we have the last 3 times we've played them. But predicting a win on a game that may or may not be played 3 months from now, I'm not going to get started doing that. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Morning, Uncle Lou.
Yeah, good morning.
This is actually Workmeister. How you doing today, man?
Hey, Workmeister. I'm good. How are you, buddy?
I can't complain. Followed you for years. First time actually calling in.
Oh, thank you.
Just because I'm not normally like a big betting guy, but kind of gotten into it with you in the comment sections when it comes to Kentucky, Georgia. You always rub it in my face, but it's well deserved.
Yeah.
My question is, there's been a few bloggers that I've been following trying to lead up to this Mizzou Kentucky game this week. A lot of people are trying to say that Mizzou played poorly to kind of like keep their playbook close to their chest.
That's horse
shit.
It
has some surprises there.
That's horse shit.
I think it's a bunch of excuses, but what are your thoughts on it?
Georgia fans said the same thing all 3 years that we had Jake Fromm and he couldn't throw the ball 15 yards down the field. They said the same thing. All September, October, and November, they said the same thing. We're hiding our offense. Hiding it from who? Look, these coaches know they can be fired tomorrow. They're not hiding anything. Now, do you have a certain trick play or a certain series of plays that you think may work particularly well against one team or another, so you hold them aside? Yeah, a couple of plays here and there. This idea about hiding the offense, first of all, no disrespect. No one's hiding anything from Kentucky. I mean, I just
no, that's fair.
I don't.
Fair. We haven't earned that respect yet.
And to be honest, I don't think anybody hides anybody from. I don't think anybody hides anything from anybody. I really don't. I mean, y'all played a nobody, right?
Right.
Why not just run the ball and have people go? See, they still can't throw it, and then unleash Will Levis against Mizzou and catch them by surprise. Why didn't Kentucky do that? Well, because that would have been absolutely ridiculous. You need game time experience.
I think the fan base would have.
Well, they'd have lost their mind.
I think the fan base would have crucified the coaching staff.
Yeah, you're right.
They did that just because it was hyped up
but
so
no,
much in the offseason.
I don't buy into this. We're hiding our. No, and Missouri is. I'm sorry, is high. Look, I was higher on Missouri than the average person this offseason. I'm not so high on Missouri though that I think they're a team that can afford to hide something from anybody. They almost lost. So no, Missouri's not hiding anything. They're either not any good or they played real bad. That wasn't some kind of a Trojan horse to try to trick Kentucky. No, they're either bad or they just played bad. One of those two things is true about Mizzou.
And I got one last question here, and then I'll get off the line because I know that there's other people waiting. But I live in Louisville, Kentucky, so I'm following also the Louisville Cardinals here. And after that loss to Ole Miss, there's a lot of people, calling for Satterfield's head. How much leeway do you think that there's going to be with this school with firing yet another coach?
Yeah.
Especially when they have that huge buyout over Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
Looming over them. Like, what could they even do?
Right.
Because I personally have them losing this weekend because they're just dogged.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
I don't know what Louisville's financial situation is, so I don't know what they can afford or not afford in terms of buyouts or anything like that. But Satterfield has been an utter disappointment. I don't think Louisville's talented enough to win the ACC, but they're talented enough to beat Georgia Tech last year, but they didn't. They were talented enough to compete with Ole Miss, but they didn't. Now, I can understand Ole Miss putting up a bunch of points. They're going to do that to a lot of people. But Ole Miss's defense gave up 589 yards per game last year. Per game. And Louisville couldn't get a first down. So they've been very disappointing. And they've got some exciting offensive players. They're all these short, fast, quick, little bitty guys that all run around and, they've got some exciting players on offense, but, it hasn't been working now for the second year in a row. Now, it's only been 1 week, so we'll see how they look this week, but they did not look good last week, and I don't know if Satterfield's going to work out there or not.
Rough. Either way, man, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for the call. It was good to hear from you. Thank you for taking the time to call in and that. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Man, what's up, man? It's Young Jedi King, man.
Knock, knock.
Hello?
Knock, knock.
Who's there? Who's there?
Not Miami's defense.
Man, it was Alabama, man. Hey, but you know what, man? It was Alabama. We made some mistakes, but I feel like we could correct them mistakes. I feel like Miami fans, they was expecting to beat Alabama, which I knew we wasn't gonna do, but they're just over their heads right now. And now that we lost to Alabama, Miami fans think we gonna lose to everybody else.
No, that's ridiculous.
The Miami fans have a little delusion.
Yeah, nothing that happened in the Alabama game changes my opinion about Miami. I think Miami can still win 9+ games this year. You got to remember, Alabama beat the second best team in America last year by 40 points. Ohio State. Alabama beats a lot of people by 30 or 40. Doesn't mean Miami's terrible. Now, Miami is 30 and 40 points behind the elite teams. I mean, that's not a fluke that y'all lost by that much. I mean, Clemson beats you that bad every time you play them. You lose when you make it to a New Year's Six game. You lose by 30, whatever it was, to Bama. So, I'm not trying to say Miami's in the top tier of teams either, but they're in that next tier. I mean, Miami could win 9 or 10 games. Their schedule's pretty easy. North Carolina now looks absolutely terrible. I thought y'all would lose to North Carolina. Now I think you probably beat them.
Yeah, we probably will, but you never know,
Right.
Because, again, Carolina, they could come out next week and look great. It was the first week. You got to give these teams some time, especially teams that are not like Alabama or something, who that will come out and play good. But we didn't even know Alabama would really come out and play good. Their QB came out and played great, and I feel like that's what cost us. We couldn't contain him in the pocket when we blitzed, and he was able to get out of there. But Georgia did good, though. Good luck to y'all, man. I feel like that is my pick in the national championship this year, not to hold your head high or whatever, but the defense is looking nice, and I know the offense is going to get it together, but y'all ain't really want to air it out anyways on that game. And I don't know if y'all going to air it out this game coming up, because I know JT Daniels or whatever, he got an ab problem or something.
Yeah, he's hurt, and most of the receivers that were out against Clemson are still out this week. I think most of those guys won't come back to the following week when we play South Carolina. So we'll see. But young Jedi Kane, it's good to hear from you again, sir. I'm glad I didn't have to bend over my knee today like I did around this time last year. This was a much more pleasant call. And now you don't have to get your great-granddaddy Grady to jump on my ass for 2 months like you did last time. But young Jedi Kane, good luck to your Hurricanes the rest of the year, sir, and thank you for the call.
You big dummy.
Good morning, your Uncle Lou.
Mr.
Yes. You're cutting out.
Lou, can you hear?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out. Did you fall in a well?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, sorry. This is Tiger Baskins. I have terrible service, but I'm standing on top of 3 light bulbs and have my hand balancing a plywood board above my head to get service, but you can't hear me.
Well, yeah, I can hear you now, but let me ask you a question. Do you mind?
Hit me with it. You good?
All right. Answer me this.
Gotcha.
Your thoughts on
that? Is that Ed Orgeron?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
That's Ed Orgeron. It sounded like he said you can get shrimp below the Georgia-Florida line for 2 for $1, 50% off.
2 for $1. That's
Is
a
that
good
right?
deal. I think
I'm just saying it's panhandle shrimp. That's right?
Sounds right to me.
Okay. Look, big dog. So one, this is to everybody, and I'm just going to release a little frustration, and then I'm going to get your opinion because I view your opinion higher than any other YouTuber out there. I apologize, Pigskin Pete, but Uncle Lou is
okay, yeah.
He's okay. Why? Tell me this, Mr. Lou, Mr. Uncle Cousin Lou. Why do people all of a sudden give Georgia the benefit of the doubt when the quarterback is hurt, but when we have 5 or 6 of the top 10 receivers, the top 5 or 6 receivers are hurt, and we have nothing but freshmen catching passes, they don't want to give us the excuse. But then, JT Daniels is hurt, and it's like, okay, the quarterback's hurt. Do y'all realize we had 5'11", 175-pound Ladd McConkey out there running routes against one of the top defenses in the nation, but yet that's not an excuse? We whooped that ass on defense. Offense did terrible.
No, they didn't do terrible. We just had freshmen. You tell me your opinion on that. Why do people take the quarterback position more serious than all 4 receiver and tight end positions?
Well, I mean, I think you know the answer to that. I mean, quarterbacks get all the credit when things go good, all the blame when things go bad. It is the most important position on the field. I mean, so I mean, I can see the difference there, but that's not an excuse for acting like it didn't matter that we had our top 4 pass catchers not playing, 2 offensive linemen, and a starting safety. I mean, that's a lot of players to have out. And, you know, all you have to do is remind the Tater, they had 3 players out last year and couldn't beat Notre Dame. They got those 3 players. They got those 3 players back. They beat the shit out of Notre Dame. So I get it that because this is a trash talk channel, you can't come on here and use injuries as an excuse for losing. I understand that, and I have never done that. Anytime Georgia loses, I come on and say we got shit beat out of us. The other team is better. Congratulations to the team, the players, the coaches, and the fans. And here's where we screwed up. And I yell about Georgia. But the reality is, injuries do matter, and different injuries matter different amounts. Not everybody has an elite backup left guard or whatever. So for some team, Clemson, for example, they had to play a true freshman left guard. The guy didn't know what the fuck he was doing. The guy had no idea what he was doing. He was on roller skates for 4 quarters. I mean, I felt sorry for him. Now,
I know.
Am I supposed to tell the Clemson man, well, the injury doesn't matter? I mean, well, you know, I'm not so sure. Obviously, injuries matter. The effect that an injury has on a team, that varies depending on the circumstances. Who's the backup? Does he have experience? Is he as talented or less talented or more talented? Do you have multiple injuries at the same? Look at what the worst season Alabama has had in the last 11 years was when they had 2 or 3 linebackers get hurt, season-ending injuries, right before the season started. And they had to play not 1 but 2. They had to start 2 freshman inside linebackers, both of which I believe are already or on their way to the NFL. So it's not that they weren't any good, but they were true freshmen. And Alabama went 10-2 and played in the Citrus Bowl.
True.
And that was with Hurts and Tua and Jerry Jeudy. I mean, they had an NFL team, but they were decimated at the linebacker position before the season even started. They went 10-2 and played in a Citrus Bowl that no one watched. So yes, injuries.
I remember that. And I have 3 things. I'll get to the second one. Second, not just how surprised, how amazing was it as a Georgia fan to see us rack up 7 sacks? Because I can give them the benefit all day long. Well, they had a true freshman starting at left guard. I listen to this man, Kirby Smart, every single week. Well, we're rotating players in and out. So I get it. We may have somebody go down. We may have 2 people go down. This man has backups for days. He plans for it. Clemson's supposed to be a tier 1 team, but can't plan for an injury? Can't plan for somebody going down? I want to hear it. How crazy was it to see Georgia drop 7 sacks?
Another thing that the Clemson fan needs to start holding Dabo Swinney accountable for is his idiotic stance on the transfer portal. If it's February, March, April, whatever, and you're looking at your roster and you're going, holy shit, we only have 2 centers, and one of them's a 2-star. You better take your ass to the transfer portal and get a center. That's what you better do. But Dabo Swinney is the type of person that thinks, Dabo Swinney thinks he's always the smartest person in the room. He has his way of doing things, and look, to his credit, it's worked. It's worked, but the transfer portal is relatively new. Now that they've eased the restrictions on transferring, you can transfer within conference. You don't have to sit out. You can do this. You can do that.
Yeah.
Dabo's stance that we're not taking any transfers, I just don't think that's a responsible stance to take. And it's not a secret. It's not like he said, well, we'll only take one. He's never taken a single one, and he has said publicly that he doesn't intend to. And that's a problem. Now, I don't know Clemson's depth chart on their offensive line. I don't know how many highly recruited left guards they have, and I don't know. So I don't know if this has anything to do with that particular issue. But you go back to last year when Skowski got hurt, and I believe another linebacker too. They didn't have any decent linebackers. They didn't have any decent backup linebackers. You know who the backup was? Brent Venables' son.
Gowski, is that the neck roll?
That's neck roll.
Is neck roll Gowski?
Yeah, he didn't play Notre Dame, and so they had to play Brent Venables' kid because they didn't sign any decent linebackers. You know, that's on Dabo. That's on Dabo.
Yeah, agreed. I agree.
So that I just think that's a hard-headed. You don't have to like he doesn't have to like the transfer situation, but it's the type of thing where if you don't embrace it, it's just going to pass you by.
It's going to bite you on that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'll move to number 3 real quick. Well, and side note, Dick lied about me being a good driver. We hit one person, but Dick told me to keep going. I was going to stop. We were going to get out, and he said it was too much trouble, so we just kept going. Yeah. So don't. I mean, if the person hears this and I end up getting arrested, and I'm off YouTube, then y'all know why. But it was an old person, and he said the old people didn't matter. So that's him. I'm putting that on him.
Damn.
Okay, last thing. Like the guy said earlier about the whole betting thing, I had messaged Pete about what y'all used to bet, and it was the whole bet now deal. Yeah. I have no freaking clue, and I'm gonna go back and listen to more of your streams, but just kind of give me a tip for this weekend. What would be the easiest or most simple bets to kind of attack? Because I've never done it. I just know watching you guys, y'all dominate it.
The easiest bets to do, easiest bets to do are against the spread. So you just look at a game, and whatever team is favored, that team will be the minus number. So like Texas and Arkansas. Texas is a 7-point favorite right now. So if you want to bet Texas in that game, you bet Texas -7. And that means that for you to win the bet, Texas has to win by more than 7 points because they're a 7-point favorite to start with.
Okay.
So if you bet Texas -7, they have to win by more than 7. That's the easiest way to bet. I'm not telling you necessarily to bet that game. It's the same on any game. You want to bet Georgia? They're a 24. Yeah. Georgia's a 24.5-point favorite. So if you want to bet Georgia, you have to bet them Georgia -24.5, which means they've got to win by 25 points or more for you to win the bet. And bet now is real easy to use. You get on there and play around. You can look at all the numbers and everything on there without even creating an account. And then I've made videos on my channel like betting, like how to bet or betting 101. I think it was called betting 101. Hold on one second. I'll tell you for sure. Because if that's the case,
I'll definitely
it walks you through like the 3 or 4 easiest types of bets to make. And I believe I used Bet Now in that video, like, to
shout
like walk
out to my boy Rhino 26, by the way. Glad that he called in. Rhino 26 is good people.
Yeah, if you just do a YouTube search for UNCLELOU betting 101, you'll find the video. I just found it. It's right here.
Okay, good. Well, I got you, big dog. I got invited to the Georgia game this weekend, so I'll definitely give you a shout out, okay?
All right, buddy. Take it easy. Good to hear from you. All right. Last call. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
All right. Last call. Good morning. You're on with
Turn that off in the background and talk to me through your phone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, when you're on hold, you can hear the show through your phone.
All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so you don't need to have it. You don't need to have it playing in the background or anything like that because it's on a delay. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
All right.
So I watched your video.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
I need you to pull up and wait.
Okay.
Do you do that or no?
I mean, I muted the live stream.
Never pull up and wait. Never pull up and wait. Okay?
All right.
Holy shit!
What can I do for you, sir?
Hi, this is Simeon. I'm a Kentucky Wildcats fan, but I just had a question. I just watched your video on Zeb Nolan being a starting quarterback last week for South Carolina. Do you have any opinions on his performance that he had?
No. I have an opinion on him, and it's that he's no good.
Is that he's not good?
No, he's not any good. He was a backup in the FCS, and then he was a water boy at South. He was a water boy at South Carolina 6 weeks ago. You know that, right?
Yes, sir. I did read about that.
Yeah, I'm not making that up.
I just felt
he was
as
washing
if,
jock straps and spit shining helmets 6 weeks ago. Now he's a starting quarterback for South Carolina. He's not any good.
All right. I guess that's why I'm also a Kentucky fan, because I love an underdog. But lastly, you had the man earlier had mentioned that Georgia hasn't beat Alabama since Nick Saban was the coach.
Yeah, that's not true.
So when I did the fact check, the only time Georgia has beat Nick Saban as head coach for Alabama was in 2007, which was when Nick Saban joined the Alabama squad as the head coach, and that was an overtime win, 20-23. And
Yes.
I just thought
In Tuscaloosa.
it's really insane. How many?
But we don't play them
what,
every
15?
year. We don't play them every year. We've only
That's
played
right,
them.
yeah,
We've only
that's
played
right.
them in the regular season 3 times since then, and then of course we played them in a couple of SEC title games and a national championship game. But it's not like we play them every year. But yeah, we haven't beat them since 2007.
With that being said, I've always wondered why they don't schedule Alabama later on in the season. Is it just because they're expected to play in like a SEC championship bowl, or
No.
Why they don't?
The SEC scheduling is not done by the schools themselves. I mean, Alabama's in the West and Georgia's in the East.
Okay,
It's not up
So
to
that's how
it's
that
not
works.
up to Georgia. And conference opponents aren't allowed to schedule each other. The conference office schedules conference games. You play every team in your division.
Okay.
Didn't you say you're a Kentucky fan?
You're Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, so you should know how SEC scheduling works then. I mean, you're Kentucky. You play every team in the East every single year. And then there's one team from the West that you play every year. Who is that?
I'm not sure. I'm more of a Kentucky basketball fan.
Okay, I think it's one of the Mississippi teams.
I try to do.
Anyway,
Okay.
you play one team from the West every single year, and then you play one other team from the West, and that other team rotates every 6 years. So you only play a team from the other division once every 6 years currently in the SEC. So that's why Georgia and Alabama have only played 3 times in the regular season. The schools don't schedule the conference games. The conference makes the conference schedules, and it's on a rotation.
Okay.
So Kentucky plays every team in the East every year, and they play Mississippi State from the West every single year. That's 7 conference games right there. For your 8th conference game, you play another team from the West, and that team changes every single year, and it's on a 6-year rotation because there's 6 other teams.
Okay. Yeah, I learned something new tonight.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes. I'm an educator by trade.
Well, I appreciate that, Uncle Lou. I'm excited to watch your predictions for this week's games, and thank you for taking my call.
Yep, uploaded the video a couple hours ago, so go check it out. You'll be glad that you did. Trust me. Yeah, some of y'all probably haven't watched that video, and that's your own fault, honestly. It's been up for 3 or 4 hours. That was more than enough time for you to watch it. You people always want to see White Tonto. You're always asking them, where's the super fans? Uncle Lou went ahead and made a White Tonto video. 3,000 of you have watched it already. Everyone else in here is going to watch it right now. At least the end of it anyway. Matchup involving the 2 highest ranked playmakers. I trust their defense more than I trust Stanford. Even though I'm not a huge Clay Helton fan, I'm going to bite the bullet here. Stanford's just that bad. Give me Southern Cal, lay the 7. Here's what we need to do. Some people don't watch like they're supposed to. Honestly, it's aggravating. If I'm being completely honest. Which, obviously, I am. Because I always tell the truth. Even when I lie. All right. Let's see if this will work. There you go. Enjoy.
17. The tree is absolutely terrible. Okay, now we got 4 games left that I wanted to talk about on today's video. We have Texas at Arkansas, which I think is probably the most interesting game of the week. We have Oregon at Ohio State, which is the matchup involving the 2 highest ranked teams that we have all week. We have South Carolina, who started the week as an underdog on the road at East Carolina. They're now a 2-point favorite, but South Carolina at East Carolina. And we have Jacksonville State on the road at Florida State. And this one could end up being an interesting... Oh, my God. Oh. I am White Tonto!
All right, Tonto, you ready to pick some games? Wait, Tonto say, picking games, a lot like picking woman. 50-50 chance you end up screwing yourself. Okay, whatever that means. Okay, here we go. All right, Tonto, up first, we have one of, if not the biggest games of the week. This one comes on early at noon. The Oregon Ducks go on the road to Columbus, Ohio to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State's a 14.5-point home favorite in this one. Both teams are 1-0. Oregon kind of struggled and didn't look great in a 1-touchdown win against Fresno State last week. Ohio State, on the other hand, went on the road and beat Big Ten opponent Minnesota by 14. Who you got in this one? White Tonto say, Oregon Trail. Much, much easier than Trail of Tears. White Tonto! Take Ohio State. Lay the point. All right, Tonto, an old rivalry here. We have Texas at Arkansas. These two teams used to be in the same conference and play every single year. They're rekindling the matchup this year in 2021. Texas is 1-0. Arkansas is 1-0. Now, there's a lot of people who spent the offseason telling me, Tonto, that Texas was going to start 0-2 with losses to Louisiana and Arkansas. Texas looked pretty good and blew out Louisiana last week. Arkansas was losing at halftime to Rice, but ended up winning the game. Arkansas, 7-point home underdog. Who you got in this one? White Tonto say, Texas is a state best known for losing a battle. And even though White Tonto, no remember what I ate for breakfast, White Tonto, remember the Alamo. Arkansas is like Dan Mullen's wife's wedding vows. They don't matter. White Tonto! Take Shorthorn. Lay the point. All right, Tonto, another one you've been waiting for. Your Florida State Seminoles. Now, Florida State lost last week, but only by 3 and in overtime to Notre Dame. And Notre Dame was a pretty big favorite.
Been a long time since Florida State has played a game that good, in my opinion. They looked pretty good. Of course, Mackenzie Milton ended up coming in the second half when the other quarterback had to go out when his helmet popped off, and that was a good story. We hadn't seen Mackenzie Milton play in a couple of years, and he did okay. He was something like 5 of 7 for about 50 yards and led Florida State back in the fourth quarter of that game, eventually tying Notre Dame up and forcing overtime before Notre Dame won 41-38. There's not really a line on this game, but give us your thoughts.
Wait tanto say. Florida State 3-point loss to Rudy. Biggest moral victory in history of Clown College. Wait tanto. Take Seminole. Win big.
You big dummy.
All right, everybody, there was nobody else on hold, so I turned the phones off. So that's going to just about do it for today's show. I do appreciate everybody tuning in. Though, had a great time tonight. Thanks for all the phone calls. There are great phone calls today. Don't forget, I'll be live pretty much all day on Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. with the College Game Day Show. We'll go for an hour and a half or so. And then I'm live streaming on Patreon during the noon games. So if you're a Patreon member, come hang out with us and watch the noon games over on the link will be posted on the Patreon page at about 11:45. And then I'm streaming on YouTube for the 3:30 games. So anybody that wants to come hang out while the 3:30 games are on, I'll be streaming my reaction to all the 3:30 games, which of course includes UGA versus UAB. And I'll be posting reaction videos all throughout the day, halftime reports. You guys know the routine here on the channel for Saturday. Big shout out to everybody that tuned in. We had a great time tonight. The comment section. I have the best comment section on all of YouTube. My channel is pretty average, but the comment section is A+, and that's just a fact. And, of course, big shout out to everybody who helped support the show tonight with the Super Chats or the PayPals. Eli James, I'm not sure if I read this one yet. I swear, if Bennett ends up anywhere in a serious QB role, I'm going to drive to Athens and punch someone in the neck. Swing by here and pick me up on your way. I'll go with you. Thank you, Eli, for the Super Chat. Thank you, Zach Fluharty, Michael Cummings, Dylan Deloney, Landon Gosnell, Chance Tastic, Hugh Freeze's Burner, Workmeister, and Dylan Deloney. And, of course, over on the PayPal, Rhino26, thank you again for all your support. Jason C. and Mr. Workmeister also helping out over on the PayPal page tonight. So I really, really appreciate everybody helping to support these live shows. I choose to play music at the beginning and sometimes the end of these shows. And for that reason, I'm not able to monetize the videos. So the Super Chats and the PayPals are really the only thing that keep these live shows going. So I really appreciate all of you being so supportive year-round. And then we have the Lee Smith channel. Hit up the PayPal as well. He says, congrats to Georgia on the big win. I created the new name for college football called the Badass Buckeye. Well, we'll be looking for you in the comments section. I'm high on Ohio State every single year. I bet Ohio State every week, too. I don't care who they're playing or what the line is. Ohio State's 19-2 in their last 21 games against the spread, and I have bet them every single time. I've won a lot of money betting on Ohio State. Ohio State loves to cover. They barely covered last week, but it doesn't matter whether you cover by 1 point or 100. The payout is the same. I had Ohio State minus 13.5 last week. They won by 14. I'm going to bet them again this week against Oregon at home. They're minus 14, so I need them to win by more than 14 this weekend, and I don't see any reason why they can't do that, especially if Kayvon Thibodeau is not going to play. But the Lee Smith channel, Mr. Badass Buckeye, I really appreciate you supporting the show through the PayPal. All right, everybody, thanks to those of you that stuck around to the end tonight. Tennille, Sea-Dog, Savage Cabbage, Battle Angel, Thomas UGA, Tiger Baskins, Talk is Pitt, David Byers, Fishing Football, Jim, Lugnut, Larry, Parabola. I got you, Larry. I'm glad I happened to see that. That doesn't sound like a good song to play at the end. I got you, Lugnut, Larry, with the Parabola. Pizza Woman, Fishing Football, Chiquita, Sea-Dog, a random person is here. Thank you. Noel Squad, Bama Fanatics has another shoe for the times. Later, Lou. Later, chat. Everyone, you guys are awesome. Facts. Thank you, Bama Fanatic. You're pretty awesome, too. For a Bama man. Yeah, you're good people, man. I appreciate you hanging out tonight. Keith, Justin Hardy, Big shout out to everybody. Got a request for some parabola to close things down tonight, and Uncle Lou never says no to Tool. You already know that by now, or at least you should. So with only a little bit more ado, here we go. Parabola. How about if we play parable and parabola? They go together. They're meant to be played together. So we're going to play them both. Parable and parabola. Here you go. All right, I love you guys. Morning show, 8 a.m. tomorrow on the second channel, Uncle Lou on LouTube. I'll see you there.